Welcome to a new deep dive. Today, we're stepping back thousands of years, actually. We're looking at one of the most, well, instantly recognizable figures, yet still so mysterious, from ancient history and myth, the Sphinx.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not just, admiring statues from afar here.
Right.
This deep dive, it's built around a really fascinating article called The Sphinx, Guardian of Secrets and Riddles.
Okay.
And it looks at the Sphinx not just through sort of the historical facts or the myths, but it really digs into the cultural differences and, maybe surprisingly, the psychological side, too.
Interesting. So our mission, then, is to unpack the Sphinx using that source, looking beyond just the image we all know, to understand it as this really powerful symbol. Protection, yeah, but also mystery and maybe even like a mirror for our own minds.
Exactly. We want to pull out the most compelling bits from the article, really get a handle on this incredible figure.
And it sounds like it's quite a journey, seeing how it changes, from Egypt to Greece.
Oh, definitely. It shifts dramatically in meaning in its role. It's much, much more than just a statue or some monster in a story.
Okay, cool. Let's jump in then. Right at the beginning, ancient Egypt.
Sounds good. So when most people picture the Egyptian Sphinx, they think of that classic look, the strong body of a lion.
Right, the power.
Combined with the head of a human. And crucially, that human face often represents a pharaoh.
Yeah, and the article, the source we're using, really highlights the symbolism there, doesn't it? That lion body, screaming strength, power, kingship almost.
Absolutely. And then adding the human face, well, that layers on intelligence, authority, wisdom, maybe even a connection to the gods.
So it's this blend, this potent mix of raw power and sophisticated kind of royal authority.
You got it. That's the essence of the Egyptian version.
So what was its job then? What was the Egyptian Sphinx actually doing there?
Well, primarily it was a guardian. Simple as that, almost.
Okay.
They were placed to protect sacred spots, think entrances to tombs, temples. The source really hammers home this role as a symbol of divine protection, specifically watching over the pharaohs, keeping them safe.
And you can't talk about Egyptian sphinxes without mentioning the Great Sphinx, right? The one at Giza.
Absolutely not. It's the icon, the most famous one for a reason. It's widely thought to have the face of Pharaoh Khafre, and it was carved right there on the spot around 2500 BC.
Wow.
Just imagine, from a single huge limestone outcrop, the sheer scale of it.
It's mind-boggling. And the article mentions how it was just swallowed by the desert for centuries, buried in sand.
Yeah, half buried, until it was excavated properly in the 19th century.
And now it's this global symbol, this timeless sentinel, as the source puts it, watching over everything.
It really feels like that, doesn't it? That sense of permanent divine watchfulness.
It really does. That protective authority just radiates from it.
But then, so then we cross the Mediterranean, head over to ancient Greece, and things change radically. The Sphinx undergoes this complete transformation. It becomes something else entirely. Something, well, frankly, much more unsettling.
This is where that contrast the article talks about really hits you. I mean, the Greek Sphinx, it keeps the lion's body, sure.
Yes, but it adds these really distinct, often quite menacing features.
Like what?
Okay, so instead of a pharaoh's face, usually it's the head of a woman, often described as having this kind of dangerous, alluring beauty.
Okay, unsettling already.
And then it gets wings, eagle's wings, symbolizing maybe speed, celestial power, but maybe something predatory too.
Right.
And sometimes, just to add to the mix, a serpent's tail, hinting at something, dark, dangerous, unknown.
Whoa. Okay, so definitely not the friendly neighborhood guardian anymore.
Not at all.
What was its role in Greek myth then, if not protecting?
It was a killer. A lethal obstacle. Not guarding sacred ground, but blocking roads, especially into cities like Thebes.
Blocking roads?
Yeah, its function was to challenge travelers with a riddle. And if you failed, well, that was it for you. Certain death.
And the most famous story, the one everyone's heard of, involves Oedipus.
Exactly. The Sphinx was terrorizing Thebes, posing that riddle to anyone who dared approach.
The absolute classic. What goes on 4 feet in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 3 in the evening?
Such a brilliant riddle. Sounds simple, but it's so deep. The answer is tied right into, well, being human.
A human being.
Yeah. Crawling on all fours as a baby, the morning of life.
Right, makes sense.
Then walking upright on 2 feet as an adult, the afternoon. And finally needing a cane, like a third leg, in old age, the evening.
3 feet, got it.
And the myth, as the source recounts it, says when Oedipus actually solved it, the Sphinx was just utterly humiliated.
Couldn't handle being beaten.
Apparently not. Threw herself off her cliff, died, and her reign of terror over Thebes was over.
Wow. Okay, so that whole journey for the figure itself.
Yeah.
From divine protector to, like, monstrous quizmaster.
Yeah.
That shift is just incredible.
It really is. And it shows how different cultures can take the same basic form and just pour their own meanings, their own anxieties, their own stories into it.
Multi-thread vibe.
Completely. But the Sphinx story, it doesn't just stop in ancient Greece or Egypt.
Right, you mentioned the psychological angle.
Exactly. The source article also explores how this figure keeps showing up, how it resonates in, well, modern psychology and symbolism.
Yeah, this is where it gets maybe more directly relevant for us today, right? I mean, psychoanalysis, Freud.
Yeah. Figures like Sigmund Freud, they looked at the Sphinx and saw this powerful symbol for the human unconscious.
The unconscious, how so?
Well, a hidden, mysterious part of ourselves, full of unknown drives, instincts, things we don't fully understand. The Sphinx kind of embodied that mystery.
Okay, I can see that. So it becomes this representation of mystery, but also transformation, like a journey of self-discovery.
Precisely. And the riddle itself, it's like a metaphor, isn't it? For the challenges we face navigating life stages, those inner puzzles we all have to solve to grow.
The riddles within.
And the article also points to the Sphinx as this really potent archetype of duality.
Ah, right, the combination of parts, the lion and the human.
You got it.
Yeah.
The lion's body representing our raw animal instincts, passions, fears, primal urges.
Our wild side, sort of.
Yeah. And then the human face stands for our rational thought, our intellect, our conscious self trying to figure things out, impose order.
So it literally is that internal conflict we all feel.
It's a perfect image for it, that constant tension, right? Between emotion and reason, chaos and order, gut feelings versus logic. The Sphinx is that struggle made visible.
That's pretty profound, actually. It embodies that push and pull. And you see this symbolism echoing, right? Even back in ancient Greece, the article mentions it wasn't just Oedipus.
No, you find the Sphinx popping up quite a bit on things like ceramic vases, sculptures, often tied to those myths, reinforcing its place in their world.
And fast forward to modern psychology, it's still seen as the symbolic gateway.
Very much so. It challenges us, just like it challenged Oedipus on the road, but the challenge now is more internal.
How so?
It's challenging us to uncover hidden truths about ourselves, to confront our own psychological riddles, our own complexities.
So it's like a threshold figure, then and now.
Exactly. In ancient times, it guarded the boundary between, say, the known world and the unknown, the safe path and the dangerous one. And in modern thought, it kind of guards the threshold to our inner world. It's asking us to look inward, to understand what's going on deep down.
The source material really does a great job weaving all that together, highlighting how one figure can mean so many different things across centuries and cultures.
Definitely. So just to recap the main themes from the source.
Yeah, let's pull those out. We saw it as the guardian and protector in Egypt.
Then the deadly challenger, the Riddler, in Greece.
A really powerful symbol of duality, that instinct versus intellect thing.
Right. Also a metaphor for the stages of life captured so well in that riddle.
Can't forget the riddle.
Never. And finally, as the psychoanalytical tool, a symbol for the unconscious, for transformation, for looking within.
Okay. So after tracing all that, this ancient figure, shifting meanings, psychological depth, why should you, listening right now, care about the Sphinx today?
Well, because, as the source makes really clear, the Sphinx is so much more than just, ancient history or a big statue you see on vacation.
It's more alive than that.
Yeah, it's like a living cultural bridge connecting these vast ancient worlds to us. It's a psychological mirror showing us our own internal fights, our own complexities. And it's still this symbolic puzzle that kind of dares us to look deeper.
It's a reminder, maybe, that the biggest mysteries aren't always buried out there somewhere.
Right. Sometimes they're right inside us.
So this deep dive, using the source material, it's really shown the Sphinx's incredible journey from this huge divine guardian carved in stone to this fearsome riddle-spouting judge of fate in Greece.
And ultimately to this really profound archetype of the human mind, the human condition.
A figure literally built from ancient stone and old myths.
Yet its challenges, its questions, they still hit home, don't they? They resonate with really universal human experiences.
Absolutely. Which leaves us with that final kind of provocative thought from the source, aimed right at you listening.
What riddles lie within yourself?
Something to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.